Hey, it's Tyler O'Hara, King of the Baggers. Be sure to like and subscribe on YouTube.
And here we go. 14 laps scheduled for Supersport race number 1. And we're away. Josh Hayes, looks like the front row all got a good launch.
Josh got a bad start, though, Greg. I think the initial clutch let out was good. It's going to be Ty Scott leading the way down into there. And how about Xavi Flores coming from that third row on the outside? He's able to put himself up into second place.
Xavi Flores not 100%. Jason, he raced in Magny-Cours in France last weekend in the Boldor 24-hour race and had a crash. A high side landed on both his feet, and he has been gingerly walking around this paddock all weekend long. A hindrance or a help for him here having rain conditions?
Probably it's not really. I wouldn't say it's either. You know, with the rain, he's not going to have to put as much through the pegs, but in the dry, he's going to have a lot more grip, so he'll feel more comfortable. It was actually at Paul Ricard. It was the last turn of Paul Ricard. Yeah, they used to run that at Magny-Cours, like you say, but it was at Paul Ricard, and he's been passed already, Greg. You see Josh Hayes is now right behind Xavi Flores. I believe it's Mazziato who has slotted himself into that second spot. Can't see the number from here, but it looks like Anthony Mazziato. But Ty Scott right now, definitely with his head down, confidence at the front. I'm looking back a little further to see where Dave Anthony is, and you can see him back there behind Jake Lewis. Surprising to see both of them that far back, as they were both quick in morning warm-up. We saw Kayla Yakov, to your point, she moves through, so she's going to be, looks up in top 8 or 9 spots already.
So Ty Scott out front in the Vision Wheel M4X Star Suzuki. His teammate Teague Hobbs back there. Leading the way from a couple other Suzuki is David Anthony, looking for some room up the inside of Jake Lewis.
You see him leading on the outside of Jake Lewis. That is like real trust there, and you got to trust the guy that you're riding around. Jake Lewis goes around back around the outside of that patch and goes past Teague Hobbs, as Dave Anthony is able to get by both of them in just those 2 corners.
There's the 19 of Kayla Yakov, Pennsylvania resident, so this local race for the Tytler Cycle Racing Kawasaki ZX6R. In the draft, looking for some clear visor is the 19.
There, and it's weird because what the rain does too, Greg, is there's going to be places where people feel comfortable in some spots and not as comfortable in others. As you can see here, Josh Hayes is trying to go around the outside of Ty Scott up into the turn 9 area, and there'll be so that's why you'll see that slinky effect of that they'll be good in some spots and not in others.
On Tyler Scott, but Tyler is not afraid to push the limit in the rain. He feels really comfortable, and he feels like he has a really sound idea of specifically where that limit is and how far he can really take that risk.
Yeah, now that Josh Hayes leads the way too, it's going to give Ty Scott another benchmark on how to judge his performance as well, as Mazziato still in the back end, as the veteran Hayes starts to try to gap.
It's going to give them a little bit of confidence, but still trying to bridge that gap, you have to take bigger risks. And you can see, look at Mazziato. He is now doing what Hayes tried to do a couple of laps ago, and that is go around the outside of Ty Scott. But it's just it's too long of a distance around.
Yeah, it definitely is. And one thing to keep in mind here in the States, we just don't race in the rain a ton.
Then upshifting the gear, and you'll see it again in that 9-10 area. This is the 3A, B, and C, and he's really just put the pressure on these guys. And you can see Ty Scott just gets shot up out of the seat a little bit. They're all in the 41s. Hayes, that time by, was half a second quicker, though, Greg.
He got into turn 1, just couldn't get the bike slowed down comfortably. And now a big gap, even though Ty Scott goes sideways.
Gets it sideways. I don't think it's going to be a big deal. I think Mazziato can get back to the back of him. Both riders are in the 43s now. They've shown that they can do 41s. The riders behind him are the concern. Kayla that time, again, was 1.6 seconds quicker than the leader of the race. So for Kayla, she continues to improve. Mazziato. That's the spot where it looks like he wants to try. He wants to try to get up alongside Ty Scott going into turn 5. It might be a park job on the last lap. We'll see if he's able to do that. Get up alongside. The thing is that when you get in that torque curve on these bikes, it can definitely get a little tricky. And you can see Mazziato now is closed up on the back. Look at Kayla. Kayla is not that far back. She just goes fastest lap of the race at a 40.6. So she is doing her best. Right now, that lap time was 2.3 seconds quicker than the leaders. So Kayla on the 19 is moving forward. As you see again in our replay, Ty Scott gets out of shape. Now we're getting into that section. This is where Mazziato is good. He's got to draw up on the back as they come out of this right-hander. He's got to draw up on the back of Ty Scott and get as close as he can. And then literally they're going to go through this fast right. And the 23 could try to roll around here. Not close enough. He's going to have a shot. Nope, not quite there. And look at Kayla. She's now drawing up to the back of these guys.
1.6 seconds faster than the leader last time by, but there was a 2.4 second gap. So for Kayla Yakov, she needs Anthony Mazziato to mess with Tyler Scott, but he's not close enough to do it if she's going to have a chance to win this race. Could this 16-year-old sensation take the Tyler Cycles Kawasaki and prove to everybody she deserved this ride? A podium is definitely good enough, but the race win's so close for Yakov. But Tyler Scott, all eyes forward on this final lap as he tries to get whatever he has left out of that rear Dunlop rain tire as he turns the screws on that Vision Wheel M4X Star Suzuki. Mazziato trying to close the gap. There's only a couple corners to go here, JP. And Tyler Scott looking pretty good as he bends it to the right. He's got to get a run at it. Does Anthony Mazziato have anything? Really tricky final corner onto the front straightaway we go. In this final lap, it's Ty Scott to the checkered flag and will take the victory ahead of Mazziato. Kayla Yakov comes in third.
Wow.
Just 1.9 seconds behind.
How about that podium? Ty Scott, Mazziato, the local guy, really proud of him to see that ride and effort from him and that team. As you can see, it's a bit muddy out there. Ty, be careful.
And the team's going
Gonna
great.
have to clean that bike all up.
Yeah. You got to be careful out here in the slippery.
By 2/10 over Mazziato with Kayla Yakov gaining on them quickly. Anthony Hayes, Nassani, Jake Lewis, Teague Hobbs, Chubby Forrest back there in 9th.